My one-word reaction, though, is, all right. I saw some good things. Special teams certainly was good early. I saw some good things out of the defense all day. Josh Uche, Khalid Hudson had some really nice games. I like that Michael Dana and Josh Metellus interception. But the offense, again, was a little sluggish for long stretches of the game. You saw Dylan McCaffrey come in. He didn't do necessarily as much as I would have expected to see out of him, so nothing too exciting there out of Dylan McCaffrey. And altogether, I don't know if it's much different than what we expected. I'm going to kind of pull up the stats here and talk through these. McCaffrey, 3 of 7 on the day. He finished for 25 yards, no touchdowns. Shea Patterson, 13 of 22 for 151 and 1 touchdown. No turnovers for Michigan was it the first time second time of the year, first time of the year, whatever it does. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and the stats to start the game. Then we'll get going with your questions. Use hashtag Michigan to get your questions live here on Facebook and on YouTube. Michigan wins 38-7 over Maryland in College Park, Maryland. 38-7 is your final score. We're going to get going here with questions as we are live in our post-game show. We're just going to get things going on Facebook and on YouTube. Going to make sure that the communities are being represented on both of these platforms. So I'm going to type in one-word reaction to the game. Oops, and my computer is going haywire. All right, we've got producer Dylan behind the camera. I am James Yoder. First question coming in from Trey Stone King, a longtime watcher. Thanks for watching, Trey. Michigan, James, the no 100-yard wide receiver streak continues, Trey, and yes, it does. Let's count them. It was 30 games coming into the season that Michigan had a 100-yard wide receiver. Now, this is game 9. Count them, 39 games. Michigan has extended the streak of not having a 100-yard wide receiver. And there wasn't much wide receiver action going on at all, really, today for anybody. You see your leaders say Nico Collins, that one bomb, 51-yard bomb, 2 catches for 65. Sean McCune, 1 for 29. Ronnie Bell, 2 catches. Tarik Black, 2 catches. Nick Eubanks, 2 catches from the tight end. But again, not a ton going in the Michigan passing game. Not really a ton going in the running game with Hassan Haskins with 60 yards, True Wilson with 50, and that long of 39, and Michael Barrett on the fake punt, which was a nice play. But not a ton going on. Use hashtag Michigan to get your questions going in. Michigan, get on the show. If we see hashtag Michigan, you will pop to the top of the queue for producer Dylan behind the scenes. Let's take a look at Nico Collins, as you mentioned, your leading wide receiver. The first half, was this first half stats, Dylan, or is this total game stats? Yeah, first half stats versus Maryland. Looked like Michigan was on their way to getting that streak ending, right? 2 catches for 65 yards. All he needed was 35 yards in the second half, but alas, Nico Collins did not break the 100-yard streak for wide receivers for the University of Michigan. Use hashtag Michigan to get your questions in on today's show. I am James Yoder, your host. We are live following Michigan's 38-7 victory over Maryland. Question coming in from Tom. Will the playbook open more when we play OSU? I mean, can we stop kidding ourselves as Michigan fans, as people who follow the football team, people who've been watching for the years? That's the oldest, it'll get better in the world, is that Michigan is all of a sudden going to change things when they play Ohio State. It's never happened in my life has Michigan opened things up when they played Ohio State. There's really only one time I can remember in my entire life where Michigan surprised me on offense, and that was Lloyd Carr's last game when they came out in a pro-style spread offense, a power spread really, against Florida in the bowl game when they took down Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer in Lloyd Carr's last game. But ever since then, last year, what did we hear all last year? Oh, Michigan's saving the good stuff for Ohio State. We heard that in 2016. We heard that in 2007. We heard that in 2003. And there's maybe been a couple other games that I've been surprised. But usually what you get from Michigan the first 2, 3, 4 games of the year is what you get the entire year. And that's probably the truth for a lot of football teams. Maybe 2015, they got better as Jake Rudock learned the playbook and he got better. But the philosophy and the play calling wasn't much different. Got a question coming in from Kenny Matthews. Why is Joe not getting a chance? And I don't want to like put a damper on the Joe Milton Milton season, the Milton contingency out there. But it is clear to me that the coaching staff does not think he is better than Dylan McCaffrey because he is not getting the snaps. McCaffrey is when things, are still kind of a little bit in question. You notice that Michigan brought Dylan McCaffrey in the third quarter, a minute or so left in the third quarter, and they didn't bring Joe Milton in. So I'm trying to position my screen here, Dylan. I want to have this thing up, but I just keep seeing it. So that's why I'm moving around over here. I've got the second screen. We are just surrounded by screens. I got my little one so I can see you guys' questions, but a little too close to the camera. Thanks for the question, Kenny. Want to make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're watching, you're probably subscribed, but if you haven't yet and you just came across us, click that subscribe button. Get the Michigan Football Report. I think, voted by me, the best Michigan football channel here on YouTube. The link below, youtube.com/Michigan TV. We've got another vote. Behind the scenes, Dylan's voting for Michigan as well. So 2 votes for Michigan, none for everybody else so far today as we are live on the show. So go ahead and subscribe today. Melvin Scottborough, good question here. Why is True not getting more touches? And I think there's some validity to this. I think there's certainly something to consider and a question that Michigan fans should be asking because it seems like True Wilson is a homeless man's Mike Hart in a lot of ways, but he produces every time he gets in the game. But some people will say, maybe that's against the worst opponents or not up to the best competition. He takes advantages of the Marylands of the world and the Middle Tennessee States of the world. But he produced again today. He had that really nice touchdown run last week that we saw. 5 carries, 50 yards. He had that long of 39. So you get the long of 39, and then the other 4 carries only go for 11 yards. I think Michigan's got a definite big 2 right now. And Hassan Haskins and Zach Charbonnet, and then True Wilson's getting the scraps right now. I don't think Christian Turner should be in the game at all, to be very frank. I think everything he does is rather pedestrian, and he's just not talented enough to be on the field for the Michigan football team. So that is the question coming in there on True Wilson. Let's go to Steve D'Amico. Why is Shea Patterson so inconsistent? Is it the play calling? I think it's a little bit of a yes or no. I didn't see the same game plan I saw last week against Notre Dame where they had more of the trap running plays, but Shea wasn't as bad in the first half as social media would have you think. People were complaining about how inconsistent the team was the second half of the first quarter, and then most of the second quarter. He was 7 for 11 for 113 yards, no touchdowns, no picks in the first half today against Maryland. Pedestrian, average, but not terrible. But if you go to the whole game, 7-11, you double that up, 13 of 22. Doesn't really get any better. It throws about the same amount of passes, 11 in the first half, 11 in the second half. But 151 yards, not a ton of production through the air coming from Shea in the second half at all. What was it, less than 50 yards in the second half, 1 touchdown. Michigan beats Maryland 38-7. The game was never really in jeopardy, so I maybe understand why Michigan wasn't putting the ball up in the air for Shea Patterson. But nevertheless, he has been inconsistent. The play calling, I think, has been a little inconsistent. And I saw too much of the 2 tight end set. I saw too much Ben Mason and 2 running back sets today, too. This is not the offense, I think, that Josh Gattis had promised us when he came over from Alabama to be Michigan's offensive coordinator to start the 2019 season. Let's take a question coming in from Doug Locker. Thanks for watching, Doug. Fan of the show, and I'm a fan of you, Doug. Why are they so boring to watch? LOL. I mean, I almost fell asleep in this game in the second quarter because it was kind of boring. Started off hot with Giles Jackson, 97 yards to the house on the first play of the game, but then the offense was really boring. Luckily for Michigan fans, you've got Josh Shea, you've got Khaleke Hudson, you've got players who are making plays. Michael Dana, Josh Metellus had a really nice game. So the defense was exciting. The special teams was exciting in the first half. You had a fake punt run by Michael Barrett, which was nice to see. And the offense, all in, was pretty boring. I'm going to kind of pull up here the full game stats. Just want to make sure I remember what Michigan's total yardage was. We're going to go up there. Okay, we had a question come from Alan Clee. Then we'll get the full game stats up here in a second. Is the team relying too much on the running game and shying away from the passing game? Good question here, Alan. I think something's going on with the offense when are they playing down the competition? Are they? Some people are going to say, oh, they're saving things for the Ohio State game. I don't believe that. But we've got the stats up here for Michigan against Maryland. 331 yards of total offense against Maryland. They gave up 52 in their last game against Minnesota. It's not too great. 176 passing, 155 rushing, so pretty balanced attempt, but only 34 rushes on the day for Michigan. Pretty vanilla, pretty boring game. You take a look at the stat comparison. 38-7. The defense pitched a shutout for Michigan. Only giving up 7 points on that punt return for Maryland. 233 yards of offense, 104 passing yards, 129 on the ground for the Terps. See this third downs. Michigan didn't do that great, 7-15. Just a snitch under, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a smidge under 50%, 7-15. Maryland and the Fighting Mike Loxley's 4 of 16, 25% on the day. Michigan beats Maryland 38-7. Let's go to Kenny Matthews. They'll lose to Ohio by 40. I'm embarrassed. It was pretty much 40 last year. I know it was 62-39. That's 23 points. But Michigan scored a lot of points in the fourth quarter. Ohio State could have punched it in at the end of the game. They kind of bled the last few minutes of the clock out there right there to score another touchdown. Could have dropped 70. So the game certainly could have been 70-28 last year. But we'll see. Michigan goes on bye week this week. Then 2 weeks from today, they got Michigan State. I'm guessing that'll be a noon game on Fox, or maybe a 3:30 at ABC if we're lucky. And then they got Indiana, go on the road against that game. A program that's given Michigan a ton of problems over the last 10 years. Michigan hasn't lost in almost 30 years, over 30 years, 33, 34 years to Indiana. But the game's gone to overtime multiple times in the past few years, and Michigan's really struggled versus Indiana going back to Brady Hoke, Rich Rod, etc. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to lose by 40, but I don't see a Michigan victory over Ohio State as we stand here today. But guys, Michigan covered the spread today. I think it was a 22-point spread. It was at game time. Michigan wins by 31, 38-7. I won money on the game, of course. One of the best sports gamblers in the country this year. We're having a great year. You can be making money too with our partner, BetDSI. That's where I place all my bets. Chatsports.com/bet is the website. Use that URL. It takes you there. Make sure it populates the Go Blue promo code for you. So select the Go Blue promo code. You have to type it in for some reason. Promo code Go Blue, 120% deposit bonus. Chatsports, BetDSI. That is the place to go to place bets on college football. Plenty of games left today. Hit that deposit bonus or make some plays on the NFL tomorrow. Want to see what you guys think here. Will Michigan make a New Year's Six Bowl? 3 games ago, the Wolverines are now 7-2 in the year. Looking very likely they're going to go into Ohio State 9-2. They beat Michigan State in a couple weeks. You beat Indiana on the road, which neither one of those games are certainly a guarantee by any means. But if they win those games 9-2, I think if they keep it close against Ohio State, they win, of course they beat a New Year's Six Bowl. If they lose and it's not an embarrassing blowout, and some other things have to go your way, because I don't think the Big Ten's going to get 4 teams in the New Year's Six. So you have to see Penn State drop a couple. Maybe Wisconsin, Minnesota, they play each other. I know that. But you've got to get maybe one loss that you're not expecting out there for Michigan to make it to be that 3rd team in the Big Ten to get a New Year's Six Bowl bid. Let's take another question here from Johnstein von Squittermeistein. Look at that. You think Mitchell Renz could have done that, Dylan? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down on that. Johnstein von Squittermeistein. Like that name, like this question. 2 tight ends because Shea cannot run that offense. He's a poor decision maker and can't execute. Valid that could be the reason why Michigan runs the 2 tight end set. I don't think Sean McCune and Nick Eubanks are talented enough in a spread offense to run the 2 tight end set as much as Michigan does. 2 catches for Eubanks today, 1 for McCune. The McCune one was nice, 29 yards, but this team didn't really do enough. These tight ends didn't really do enough to be on the field as much as they are. So I kind of think there might be some validity to that, but I still am a Shea Patterson apologist. I'm still a Shea Patterson fan, so I don't necessarily think that they're trying to protect him. I think they like McCune, they like Eubanks, want to get them both in the field, but I necessarily don't think that the tight ends are the strength of this team.